Rastafari is well known in part because of Bob Marley and the dreadlocks that identified his devotion to the faith. But while some of us may be able to recognize a reggae beat, do any of us know what Rasta is, what it stands for, and what it means to the people who choose to live that life?
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Patros, and from Cush, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather them together, the dispersed of Judah, from the four corners of the earth.
People who gravitate to Rasta come into a different level of self that we're not comfortable with in normal discourse. We're not able to open up in that level, and I find that there's a kind of discourse that Rasta has and is able to hold, which transcends the everyday, which gets into a level of being that it frightens some of us, really. You know, you think the man is going mad, you know, and indeed there is a closeness between what you call mad and therefore marginal, you know, and what is in fact profound wisdom.
The Rastafari community is the only authentic and holistic and indigenous response to the crucifixion called colonialism. The fundamental thinking and philosophy of Rastafari is that we want to accentuate good and positive energy. We want to be soldiers in the ultimate victory of good over evil. We want to bring back man in harmony with the Creator. We are not into religion, we are into spirituality, which is the network that links us all together and to our source, the Creator.
Rastafari is a pathway to God and a way of life. It's a behavior, a style of behavior that's Afrocentric and that recognizes God in blackness, recognizes God within oneself, and recognizes the obligation to be godly.
To understand the start of it, you have to recall Marcus Garvey and what Garvey stood for, the kind of things he did, the mass movement that he formed, and aimed and targeted at Africa, at building up that homeland. Secondly, the idea too of all black people are the same. You know, we're not, you know, he spoke of us as Africans, both at home as well as abroad, you know, so that sense of the unity of the African race almost as a kind of nationality and ethnic group. Right? Now, in the midst of all this, you know, the coronation of Haile Selassie in 1932 represented, for many of them, the fulfillment of a prophecy of Garvey's, right? And they therefore found the justification for it in the Bible, because Selassie had in fact taken on the name, you know, Haile. Well, his name was Makonnen, if you remember. His name was Prince Tafari Makonnen, and Ras being the Ethiopian for prince. Yeah. So it is Ras Tafari Makonnen, who now becomes Haile Selassie. And Haile Selassie means, as an imperial title now, power of the Trinity. Then it also, along with that, were a number of other titles that he took. You know, the way Elizabeth takes, or any British monarch takes, the word defensor fidei, meaning defender of the faith. Yeah. Well, he took on King of Kings, because that's what he was actually, a king of other kings in Ethiopia. Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah.
Rastafari, Ras mean head, Tafari creator. So Rastafari is the head creator. So Rastafari is almighty, everything to me, the person who created everything around. So I have always to give thanks and praises to Rastafari for what he has done for me, you know.
The saying within Rastafari that it is really an inborn concept. Like you'd have the seed of a tree, that minute thing there, which is the capsule for the big tree. Essentially, I think it's the same principle. You're born with that inside of you, and it manifests itself in the process of time, given the right environment, the right condition. Like in the case of the tree, the right soil, the right nutrients, sunshine, rain, and whatever.
It's a constant reminder of who we were and therefore are, you know? Things that we want to forget about ourselves. It is forcing us to remember about ourselves and to get deeper into that memory, that it doesn't get lost. As Garvey said, people, if you forget your past, then you don't know yourself or your future.
The concept of Rastafari is really about the human community, the creational fraternity, sustaining itself, mankind understanding him and herself within that context, being the vanguard and the children and keepers of this garden called creation. So that, while people misunderstand Rastafari as just being ganja, reggae music, back to Africa, Rastafari embraces the whole of humanity and the whole of creation.
As a child, when everybody was going to England, I remembered, like, maybe young, 8, 9. My father had left for England when I was 7. Yeah, 7. And I always say in those days that I would like to know Africa before I know England. And when I look at the map, the atlas, always looking at Africa and saw it pretty. And then I had my father's stepfather I learned to read off the newspaper, the Gleaner. And so you read a lot about the struggles. So I remembered when they assassinated Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, and I just loved the name. Right now my son named Balewa. And, yes. And I couldn't, you started that way. And then, like, my grandmother told me about His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. In that she said how the Italians were wicked, because look at this little man with him country and them not have no big weapon and so, and them just go and attack the people them for nothing. And how them wicked because the people them barefooted and then throw hot tar on the ground. So that was the impression of that whole thing. Because what you have to understand about Jamaicans, plenty of them will say they are not Africans, but when the white people go anywhere in Africa, then vex. so.
Do I sound a stranger to you, my black mother? A passion for hatred in place of the glory of free laughter. But what else should one expect from the wrong upbringing of a false love with a false root. Yet only tonight I dreamt a dream, Black Mother. Is it a dream to realize? I dreamt that all the elder shepherd of your tribe join hands, have joined hearts to raise a question. Who is the last one?
And then, again, like my father would always say, him don't want any white Jesus picture hang up in the house, although he's a Christian. Him say him don't want any white Jesus picture hang up. And he always spoke highly of His Imperial Majesty. And then you will hear him, he's talking about that he agree with Marcus that if you black, you gotta have to be black.
I suffered from about the age 10 from racism. I was sent to a boarding school in Jamaica where there were 100 girls, 10 of whom were black, and my sister and I were the two blackest. And from that day forward, I mean, living through Jamaica, going to England, especially living in England for 10 years, I know what it was like to be inferior because I was black. All my life, I mean, my nose was too big and my hair wasn't straight enough, and of course my skin color, about which I could do nothing, you know. And to be that inferior being all your life and suddenly, pow, be liberated by realizing that you have a worth, God is within you. And I mean, black or white, I mean, look how much white blood I have in me. So it's black and white. But that the blackness in me did not prevent me from being worthy. You know, it used to prevent me from being worthy. I was such a second-class citizen, second-class person because of these external characteristics and my history as a child of slavery, you know. But Rastafari liberated me from all of that. It put a totally different spin, a very positive spin on all that. It showed me that this was the original way that humanity looked.
When His Imperial Majesty came to Jamaica, my father took us to see him because his thing is that all the while we line up road for white king and queen, black king coming now, so we have to go out there. So I saw the man. And listen to me, man. I went home and I said to my grandmother, how you always say, nobody pretty? Well, he said, that man when me see pretty, a one pretty man that. And his granddaughter came with him, you know, a year. I would tell her, I said, boy, I wish if I was in granddaughter. And that crowd that you saw, when you watch it on TV, and saw people lining the train line from Kingston to Mobile. Then can't see me in the train, you know. But the train line was lined from Kingston to Mobile. And there was a magnetic force within him. That as a child, you don't understand that, but he was striking. And just meek and, you know.
But in the hill, I don't go there. You have this, you call them monk. Rasta people live in there. And them usually should go on with something like where you go on with us comedy, ball out. Rastafari! It frightened the poor little white them throw up in me a while ago. You know? It frightened people too sometimes. I mean, it frightened me too as a little youth. But me like it, you know. Laugh Jamaica youth, eh? Yeah, laugh when you hear them kind of sound on the people, the reaction of people and things like that. So, from since then, that time, me love the Rastafari sound that embedded in me.
Remember, as a child at about 14-year-old, there was a man in the district called Glenn Clackett, and he was the first Rastafari I ever encountered. But at that time, he was like a very peculiar novelty in the district. Someone who no one quite understood. He wasn't a person who fit in with the general community. There was like a mystique, you know. Then certainly he was not portrayed, neither was he physically, in terms of appearance and so on, someone like that you'd be encouraged to emulate or that you'd want to emulate on your own. So.
And as you get older and they realize that you're firm in what you are saying, they kind of ease off the pressure. Because at first, you know, I couldn't relax. Every time them at home, you have to wrap up and everything. If me even wash my locks, it have to dry and everything before they come home from work. That time now, you see, we start have my locks down and so till even see my father, I tell him friend them, oh, our locks long, you see, and it pretty and so, you know, you just give thanks and you go through.
How my parents feel about it, my mother didn't feel no way too bad. My mother glad for that. She was a staunch Garveyite. She usually danced and the Garvey band, you know, Garvey used to keep up some kind of concert and elocution. So she used to be one of the elocutionists, them recite and dance together. So she glad when she have a son who come stand in defense Africa. She was very glad, but she never lived long enough. Well.
So then, you know, when we see things in the Bible like in Revelation, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, that made some sense, the house of Ruth and of Jesse and of David, started checking that out. Well, we checked out number 6, the Nazarite, that don't use vine food and don't cut them locks and don't go amongst the dead. We started seeing some basis of the Rastafarian thinking as documented in the Bible.
When either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto the Lord, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine, or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat any moist grapes or dried. All the days of his separation shall eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. All the days of his vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head, until the days be fulfilled, in which he separateth himself unto the Lord God Jah. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of his hair of his head grow. Jah, Ras Tafari, King Selassie, ever liveth, ever faithful, ever sure.
Even that thing of children going to school with locks on their heads. I mean, some of the hustle that you have to go through. You have to take it to court and what have you. And it is a given. It is in the Constitution that you're not supposed to.
A lot of people have asked him from years little, you know, they said to me, why you do that to the child? Why you don't make him wait until he grows up to be a Rasta? Why you do that and let his hair grow? And I've always turned to him and say, shall I cut it off for you? And he'll just almost burst into tears. It's very important for him. Children, the first haircut a child gets, he cries, you know. Mm-hmm. Always. Because you're cutting off a piece of themselves and they don't know why. It's like taking off a piece of a boy's penis when he's born without asking him. Why?
The locks is part of it, you know. And it doesn't make sense you do peace and don't intend to go the full way. So it's part of the vow.
You don't have to have locks to be a Rasta. It's something of your art. Them say reggae is the heartbeat of a people. So that's how the reggae affect you, the music industry, the whole social relationship of Rasta affect your art. So you can live in your heart and live in your mind to live in your head. you know. But regardless where your parents are wounded before you say them whole as to them God, as to them Rastafari, for we have so much name to call God and Jesus and Christ and all that. That any name you call him, we will say yes, him a God.
All black people are Rasta, and I choose some of them not know. But all black people are Rasta. When you're born, you're Rasta. You understand me? I choose some not know, and some may say, boy, I choose when them see the locks, them say yes, sir. But I'm not saying that. Because you have Rasta man. As well, tell you, when you're born, you're Rasta. When you're black man, you're Rasta. So, now look on the locks. The locks have got identity, identify themselves. Some people don't like them, identify themselves. But we just say identify ourselves early. And we now wait. We be early out. But every black people are Rasta.
I've now sealed the covenant of wearing the locks for now 25 years. I have gone through the tribulations that we all go through. I've been unable to get a job, faced with the hardships that the society offer to you. That is isolation, modern day oppression, sometimes subtle, but it is there. And even in this day, it is still there, because you still go on the bus sometimes and people, especially women, don't want to sit beside me.
I grew dreadlocks. Never had a fight. I remember there was an opening at JBC for manager operations at the time, and I applied for the job. The lady in the interview, she said, "So you're turning Rasta now?" And I said, "Is that a problem?" And she quickly said, No. Let me state clearly, I'm not saying it is a problem." So it's all right, no problem.
That was like a great disappointment to my family, my parents. And they were constantly bombarded now by people in the community and so on. I remember once she wrote me a letter and said that I should cut my locks and go and look work. Because then after leaving college, it was a little bit difficult to get the work that you'd rightly deserve based on the prejudices and so on. So she was encouraging me to cut the locks and go and look work, and reminding me that the police don't love Rasta.
You can't have everybody love you. So when people are 2 or 5 against you, 40,000 love you. So you know what's the 2 card? Nothing never, no straight road in life. And you can't get 100% support. You know man him saying anything I do him and 100% support him get. It's not right. Because you are positive and negative, right and wrong.
To tell you the truth, and I might be crucified for this, but sometimes Rasta take on to themselves a fight that don't exist.
Where are you from in Jamaica originally?
Too many questions in one.
I want to find out where me really come from in Jamaica. But poor people live all over Jamaica. But originally I don't know which part I come from in Jamaica. But we could call it Kingston. We could call it Kingston, Kingston too.
Our elders, like our mother and father, would have more come from the country, coming to Trenchtown. But we like in the 40 age group,
Right.
growing up, we born here.
Right.
But our people with 60s and 70s, maybe, you understand, they come from various parts of the island and come to Trenchtown. And Trenchtown was a place where, anywhere in the island you come from, coming to Kingston, the first place you land at, where you call it now, Coronation Market. From the Coronation Market to Trenchtown. Trenchtown was the base and is the base and will continue to be the base.
You say it was a, did you say it was a holy ground?
Yeah, man.
I mean, is it a stupid question? They're asking why that it was like that. Why did people gravitate to that place in that way?
I will answer say mysticism, mystic. People them were mystic, God people, then Treadstone. God people can then roam too, you know, but God people was in Treadstone. You know?
Truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the hour that fight by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Because 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with an eye shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. And they had made Haile Selassie thy refuge, even the Most High thy habitation. They shall do evil for thee.
We're not consuming alcohol and a flesh substitute. We're lighting the spiritual fire within ourselves. There's a completely different role. Oh, well, ours gives us forgiveness from sins. What? Every week you have to want to ask forgiveness of sins? No. When we start to partake of our sacrament, we learn we mustn't sin no more. So every time it's just learning how to be more righteous. Forgiveness of sins, we passed that long ago. We say to the Father, please, we recognize our error, forgive us, we're going to trot forward in righteousness now with your light shining in front of us. So it's all very different. And we have to be able to answer the questions from people like those who are convinced that alcohol and flesh substitute sacrament is going to bring some kind of grace into the society that it hasn't done yet. When Rasta is bringing grace into the society, showing, we are love, we are peace and love. That's the real Rasta. That's why so many white people are Rasta, and Chinese people and Indian people are Rasta. And we love it because Rasta come for the blind to see and the deaf to hear. You don't have to have eyes to know that somebody's a Rasta. Stevie Wonder said, what is this Rasta thing you're talking about? He could know. He's a blind man. It wasn't who has dreadlocks or wearing red, gold, and green. It was the quality of the person that was talking to him. So, that's what we did, you know? And the theological position is the most important one. Everything else is really quite irrelevant.
Leave him now. Leave him. He said you can't do him by yourself.
Like the herb is the oil for the lamp to make it shine, you understand? Yeah. And I glad that herb is in our possession. Yes. And I wouldn't want it to go away. Can take something more precious away from us. But leave it, you know.
What's the link between ganja and Rasta?
Twin brother. Siamese. We cut them off.
I would starve myself, have the last just to buy a script just to feel higher. Because having my belly full and that feeling is not there. Way out. You understand?
No. I'm getting old. And as you see them have to keep all the nurse with me now, that means that chalice may damage me. Too much herb in my head. And I have a thing say bees buzzing brain. You know when the bees them get up, you have to smoke them. Say, get down them back. Well, that's why I used to smoke chalice. Sweet you always.
I can do without smoking ganja. I smoke cigarettes, sad to say. And I will get up in the night, maybe go buy cigarettes. I don't do that for ganja. I just take a smoke and that's it, and cool. You know? And what I say about ganja, if I'm in a great mood and I smoke weed, the mood just gets greater. If I'm down and I smoke weed, there's not a word as down, but you get very low.
Ganja has many medicinal purposes. Personally, I don't really believe in smoking it, even though I smoke sometimes, but to myself, I see any smoking is harmful to the inside, you know? I feel it was usually used as burnt sacrifices back in the days, like in the incense canister and things like that, and medicinal purposes for the eye drops can be used to make clothes. You know, it's a wonderful plant.
I don't go out and tell people to smoke ganja. As a fact, if I'm smoking to people, I don't pass it to them. It's personal for me. I am smoking. You know, it's not because I'm in a crowd. I want to smoke and pass it to them. It's not my kind of smoking. You know, and it's something special to me when I smoke. I smoke. Sometimes I write the best scripts, or edit the finest piece, or shoot the best shot. Just the whole inspiration, and because people expecting you to fail, are expecting I to fail when I smoke weed, because we go smoke ganja and get worthless. When I smoke, that's when I make sure I am at the controls and in full control, and I prove that time and time again. And I've never been told by anyone that I smoke too much ganja.
I don't smoke it, and I don't think I'm less of a Rastafari. I don't smoke. I use it if I feel like, because to me, if it's a sacrament, it's not every day.
If the herb just say it don't in my body, maybe that feeling, I can smoke the herb, and if I'm not praying, that feeling don't come. And if I'm praying without the herb, that feeling not that strong either. Smoking the herb now and praying, that feeling come on very strong, like I'm very holy. Sometimes I feel like no flesh, like it's not a body, like I'm not here, but I'm here. You understand? Just feel like sometimes I'm up here. You understand? Consider us free. We get down our knee day and night, O Father, asking for your mercy upon us. We know we have strayed, oh Lord, but Father, please on our knee we pray.
Is reggae music Rasta?
It's a part of Rasta. It's like the element in a way. You know, like how Christians have gospel, Rastas have reggae. You know what I mean? That's how I would see it, pretty much.
Good analogy. You see, reggae's whole origin was out of Rastafari. Rastas, drumming, that whole ritual of Nabingi, and the singing of neo-Christian hymns over the rhythms of Nabingi is what brought reggae forward. Because if you listen to the very first popular reggae song, Oh Carolina is a very secular theme, the lyrics. But the rhythm is straight Nabingi. If you take the songs off of it, you're in a Nabingi groundation. It's pure Nabingi drumming. And that's all the music that's on it. The harmonies of the men singing and the Nabingi drums. Well, now when they saw that commercial success of blending the religious ceremony with a secular song, reggae exploded. So there you have like the original reggae songs are the Psalms of Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, but then you have the secularism coming in with all the songs that then became popular. So that's the birth of reggae as a commercial entity, the fusion of that religious experience with something secular.
If it wasn't for the Rastafari movement, who showed that what we have is so powerful, a lot of even the gospel singers abroad, I mean, apart from those that come in from down south, you wouldn't have them putting it to, you have it in rap form, you have it in calypso form, you have it in, but the thing is that they realized that Rastafari was spread through reggae music.
Young people coming up in the faith, like, you know, Bob Marley and Tosh and so on, became dreadlocks. Indeed, by the end of the 60s, any artist who really wanted to cut a name for himself became dreadlocks. I mean, that's to show you. So that whole period I call the era of the dreadlocks.
Even before Bob Marley, because you can think of Alton Ellis singing Going Back to Africa, because I'm black. And Ken Booth did this song about an oppressive factory situation. So even with these artists that sing lovey-dovey soft music, and people would call it lovers rock and what have you, they had strong social commentaries coming out of their music. And it really have to do with, even our artists, even to this day, all of our artists, don't care how you perceive them. That's why I don't really classify them, because for every angle you can take it, they come with one or two spiritual and conscious music. They always do it. So even those DJs now that people will say, well, them are slackness and what have you, if you listen to them, you're going to pick up some conscious, spiritual, deep music, and you say, God, you didn't know that they can do this. But because most of our musicians came out of these experiences, they are from poor background. And Rastafari came out of poor setting.
The Beatles were the priests of the 60s for the world. I mean, they took the world out of the stodginess and depression of 2 world wars into a new era of love and happiness, and they set the trend that caused the retaliation in the West to the Vietnam War. Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, the whole of that, you know. These are the peaceful revolutionaries. Then you had the black American musicians, Marvin Gaye and those guys who raised our black consciousness in the 70s and flowed right into Rasta reggae music. This is why music is so valuable, because it has that ability to affect millions and affect them positively.
Music is the way for everybody throughout the world to express themselves. Even if you're not a musician, from you relate to the music and what they're saying, that's how you express yourself. That is, I think, the main reason for music is just to make a connection with somebody and what they're saying and express yourself through that. So
even right here now, I'm struggling to really talk because I have to think, but with music I can just write a thing and then just present it easily. Well, like talking right here, you know, I have to struggle to really express myself.
If you see Rastafari as a revolutionary movement, then reggae music must be that indispensable tool of that revolutionary movement. And if you disarm a man or a soldier then of his weapon, and if you disarm the revolutionary movement of its tool, then it becomes something other than what it is. So in a similar way, you couldn't disassociate music from Rasta from music, because we think that music is really that tool which helps Rastafari to manifest and fulfill itself.
You see, it's no accident that reggae music has swamped the world, because the message is so universal. It's what we all look for. We all want love. We were put here for love. God put us here to do nothing but love. And we're so blinded by, oh, let's make money, or oh, let's eat food, or let's find a mate. We're into all of that, and we only have one purpose, which is love. And Rasta Reggae sings about that, sings about the ways to get to that place of peace and love. And that's powerful magic. It got me, you know, it got me. That's how I got here, through Rasta Reggae music. Nothing else would have brought me to Rastafari but the music, you know? Yeah. The music had the message. The music was the psalms. The music was the preaching. The music told me what to think, how to be. You know, it still does.
And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, had prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof.
Some Rastas don't smoke herb. Some Rastas don't wear shoes. Some Rastas don't wear clothes unless they're made out of crocus bag, you know? But all Rastas have one thing in common, which is to love God in a black vision, a vision that was shown to us through the Livity of Emperor Haile Selassie, you know, of whom there is no other light in our life, you know. The Christus was of then, and he showed light then, and it's been told of, and here comes a new light that will still be talked of 2,000 years hence, you know. Just a new light, and a real light that shine and open up corners we never knew existed, corners that have been hidden for 2,000 years of Christian history, you know. A new way, a new light.
We have friends who are not Rastafarians, because it's not that everyone in Jamaica is a Rastafari person. You have the different faiths, so I mean, you and them go to school, you're going to stop talking to them because you embrace it. Most of the time, the division came in the earlys when they were the ones who isolated us. But people are more tolerant now, and I deal with people according to is either I like you or I don't like you. If you're a nice person, you're a nice person. If you're not a nice person, you're not a nice person. If your locks drawing on the ground and if you're not a nice person, you're not a nice person. And if your head look like my hand middle and you're a nice person, you're just a nice person.
Well, I support anyone from you're on a path to righteousness, from seeking righteousness. Even if I say you're a Christian, you know, I support you also because I know what you're seeking. It's better than going out there seeking the gun to really shoot your brother down. So I support everyone, no matter what religion or way of life you choose, you know. I support that, man.
I carry the faith that I am not His Imperial Majesty. I am not to judge. And I leave judgment unto the Almighty. So, I firmly believe that faith, I don't ask people to justify their faith to me, because I don't feel I should justify why I say His Imperial Majesty is the Messiah. And I don't want anybody to justify whether they say Jesus is the Messiah, whether they say Buddha, whether they say Muhammad. You must know, because as long as you are at peace with yourself, that is it. Because if the Almighty is one and He manifests Himself to different people, it must be different people, different time, in different forms. So who am I now to say if a white man say his God is white? The thing is that he mustn't tell me, say me must worship him white God.
Looking at his life and looking at Christ's life, it seems like he's living the similar lifestyle in a different time. Because Christ then, I feel the same way that they view Haile Selassie now. It's the same way people used to treat Christ back then, you know, as this negative person, and they might see him riding on his donkey and they must say, that couldn't be God. God can't ride donkey, you know? So Haile Selassie come in this modern time now and flew in a plane, and people are saying, no man, God cannot take plane and all them with it. But I just, the times, maybe next time there's a spaceship him come landing, and when we hear say heavens open up and him come down, you know? That's the times.
I love you all for coming in and giving me a chance to expound on these points, because it doesn't get aired often enough. You understand me? The ridiculous side of Rasta always gets aired because people want us to look ridiculous. But I and I are not ridiculous. I and I are quite serious. And I are the alternative for the world, a new world of peace and love. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in Zion. So we pray. We don't talk.
Look where you walk on, unholy stranger. This is the land of the 8th harmony in the rainbow, black. It is the dark side of the moon brought to light. This is the canvas of God's master stroke. Out of your foreign outfit, unholy stranger, feel part of this great work of art. Walk in peace, walk alone, walk tall, walk free, walk naked. Let the fielders of the motherland caress your bare feet. Let your breath kiss your naked body. But watch Watch where you walk, unholy stranger. This is the very depth of your roots, black. Where the tom-toms of your father vibrated in the fearless silence of the old valley, shook in the deep crests of the jungle. Walk proud.
It is the New World Revolution. It's the consequential revolution of the 60s, the 70s, of black power, of the liberation struggles, both black and white, in every way. The realization that God is all. God is all. The Beatles went to India to make that discovery and brought that knowledge back to us through Hinduism, Buddhism, all of that. God is just all there is. So here I am, product of a country that has come to such a recognition in a black way. And you know, I think I'm a quite intelligent person. I'd be stupid if I hadn't checked it out. And in checking it out, it's pretty cool. You know, it's comfy for me. I love it. What more can I say? You know, what more can I say?
I believe Rastafari have more to give than what they expected of Rasta. But how to know the Rasta? You have to communicate with Rasta and get close to Rasta. You understand? I said there is no need to discriminate Rastafari. Just try to know Rasta and things will be a little more better between each one of us. You understand?
I think that the movement has struck a chord among many people who find the way capitalism has developed, and with its materialism and with its disrespect of nature, it just going on, and it with the artificiality of so much of life, you know, an almost natural godsend, you know, around which they can pause and, you know, assume a sense of self that they would like, you know, which is so integral or which is such a part of being an integrated sense of wholeness in a world that has forests and trees and nature and other men and women and so on, you know, live in harmony with them rather than in contention and competition.
What? Listen to the call of the ancestral spirit, prodigal son. To the call of the long-awaiting soil. They welcome you home. Home in the songs of the birds. You hear your suspended family name. The wind whisper the golden names of your tribal warriors. The fresh breeze blown into your nostril floats their bones to dust. Walk tall, the spirit welcome, their lost son return. Watch, and out of your foreign outfit and brother, feel part of the work of art. Walk in laughter, walk in rhythm, walk tall, walk free, walk naked. Let the roots of your motherland caress your body. Let the naked skin absorb the home sun and shine ebony. Walk on.